Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to another Heat Playoff Post-Game Recap. The show is presented to you by Empire Boutique. Hit them up on Instagram right now. You get your drip like this. And this is Game 7, Heat versus Celtics in Boston for the Eastern Conference Championship. And it went down just the way that the Heat fans expected it, baby. Man, I wanted to take a lot of notes for this game, but then I was like, yeah, screw that. It's a Game 7. Everything's on the line, right? The Heat season's on the line. Go up 3-0, lose 3 straight games to Boston, including a Game 6, that was very, very tight. He actually came back, lost it with 0.3 of a second on that Derek White putback. And a lot of questions were being asked about the Heat and how were they going to be able to, mentally recover from such a close loss like that at home. And we now know what the Heat are all about. The Heat are about resiliency. The Heat are about playing good defense. The Heat are about staying in the moment and being true to themselves. A lot of people gave Jimmy flack for his post-game conference after that loss, saying that he's going to continue the same thing and keep his team in the same mood and in the same mode. And it worked out. It's been working for this Heat team, This Heat team is very special. They're on a run unlike any we've seen down here for Miami Heat basketball, right? And more importantly, the way that they were able to go into Boston tonight and get that big Game 7 victory was even more evidence, in my opinion, of what Heat basketball is. And when you think about it like this, right, the way the way the game started, Boston came out with a lot of energy as expected, right? Got off to a quick little start, but then the Heat got comfortable. And more importantly, Caleb Martin got comfortable. He got the start, and he played like a freaking starter. Had 45 minutes tonight. That's right, 45 minutes. 11 of 16 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 10 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, no fouls, plus 14 for 26 minutes, for 26 points, excuse me. That's a, I don't want to say superstar level, but that's like A+ caliber role player status. My phone's blowing up in case you guys hear it. But, that guy really came out to play. And in the first quarter, it was all Caleb Martin, right? And we were worried about, how's Jimmy going to come out? How are we going to be able to come out? Bam is been shying away. But we rode Caleb's energy, and it was that. He came out and hit some early threes, made a couple of defensive stops, grabbed a couple of rebounds, pushed the pace, and was just everything that Caleb Martin has been throughout this entire playoff. So this is me giving Caleb Martin his flowers over and over again, because without this dude, I don't think that he'd make this run. A lot was said about bringing back Jay Crowder. We lost PJ Tucker. All this stuff about the power forward position, or who's going to play that small or big guard forward position for the Heat. And Caleb Martin took it and ran with it the entire season. He's been our most consistent player throughout this playoffs, throughout this season, and he deserves all the praise for this game. Without him, we don't win this game. His 26 points were huge off the bench as a starter, because like I said earlier, we had Jimmy come off to a little bit of a slow start. Bam was off to a slow start offensively. Defensively, the energy was there, and that's what I liked about it the most. The Heat, they won the first quarter 22-15, but they won it on defense. Literally closed out the quarter with 3 straight possessions of good defense on the Celtics, forcing them into bad shots and getting the rebounds. And that made the difference. It made the difference between the Heat being able to get the most out of their chances, right? Because we know that they can go in those offensive lows where they struggle to score the ball. But what you can't afford when you're a team like that is to, let the other team score on you. And the Heat's defense has been amazing. We really shut down Boston tonight. And in that first quarter, we held them to 15 points. So we knew what type of level the Heat's defense was playing with tonight. And then in the second quarter, Boston, of course, expected to make their run. They did make their run, came back a little bit, but the Heat were able to sustain that and really continue to push with their program and their method of playing basketball tonight. which was push the pace when they had to, bring it back and slow it down when they had to, take advantages of their misses and create in some type of offense. And a lot of that has to do with how the other guys, quote unquote, played tonight, right? The Strus, the Vincents, the Kyle Lowry coming off the bench, Duncan coming off the bench, hitting some timely threes. All of these guys did something in that second quarter to help keep Boston at bay, and it gave the Heat a 52-41 lead. And at that point, you're feeling really comfortable. You're feeling very comfortable because besides how the Heat looked defensively, we knew that we were going to get their best punch from Boston in the second half, and it was bound to come, right? And I think that he were really prepared for a challenge. We hear Spo talk about it all the time, like, oh, we live for these moments, and we want to be up there, and we want to be in the tough situations. And they were in very tough situations, right? Celtics start the third quarter and go on an amazing run, right? I think they went 9-0 for like over 3 minutes, and then it continued to stretch their good offense, but they never really got close to the Heat. And a lot of that had to do with, again, our defense and our timely plays being made by guys. Duncan hit a couple of threes in that third quarter, which were huge. Strus made some good buckets. Gabe Vincent, he's looking a little bit healthier than he was before in Game 6 and just played really well. I contributed his points whenever he could. The Heat, as a team, they shot really well when it's all said and done, and mostly it has to do with Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin. Between those two guys, they were 23 of 44. So just shows you like how effectively these guys were being today on the offensive side. And I mentioned it on podcast, but Caleb Martin has to be the best Heat signing and God knows how long for the amount of money that this dude is getting. That third quarter was going to be the swing quarter, and the Heat really withstood the Celtics' best punch. They came out, made their run. They came out and made some threes. Derek White was unstoppable for them. He literally played his heart out for the Celtics. He had 18 points tonight for them. Struggled from three, as the rest of the Celtics did. Usually you hear Coach Mazzulla say they want to get over 43s up to give themselves a chance. They had 42 attempts tonight, and they only made 9. So I don't think they really took advantage of that. 21% from 3 is not going to cut it in any NBA game, especially when you're playing a team that's shooting 50% from 3. He was 14 of 28 tonight from 3, 42 of 86 from the field, shot 48%. Only had 6 free throws the entire game, which is wild because Boston ended up having double that, 13 free throws, and it still wasn't an advantage for them. It just shows you how the Heat were, I don't want to say ready for that, but they knew that they weren't going to get calls in Boston. They knew that they were going to get tough calls against them, and they just persevered throughout it all. And even though we didn't have so many free throws attempts when we did get to the line, we made them. Bam made all 4 of his, which was super clutch. And I think Jimmy Butler had the other 2. I'm sure the stats and info are going to come out of winning the game with only shooting 6 free throws, going 5 or 6. But that's the type of team that the Heat have. We're a team that we're going to be resilient. We're going to fight for it on the defensive side and figure out the offensive side later. Caleb Martin, he had some big buckets big moments in the third quarter, but I felt like Bam was getting the best of the Celtics. Offensively, his game wasn't there tonight, right? But defensively, what the havoc that guy was causing was, it's just something you can't really explain. You just have to see it. And what it does for the Heat is it's priceless because it allows them to really hold down and play team defense, meaning everybody goes after the loose ball. Everybody goes after the rebound because the main guy's getting boxed out. Everybody can stick to their man because Bam is making sure he's shutting down his one-on-one matchup. And that's what Bam gives us. We have to remember that as Heat fans, that Bam is always going to bring it on the defensive side. Whatever we get from him on offense is bonus. And, the announcers made a good point. He sets some amazing picks, which free up guys like Duncan, Jimmy, Strus, Gabe Vincent, Lowry, all those guys when we run Caleb Martin, all those guys, when we run the pick and roll, Bam is the one who's the catalyst for that. Because not only does he set the good pick, which, makes the defender choose, who to go over or under, but since they have to make that commitment, Bam can then free range. He can go to the rim. He can stay back there for a jump shot. He can do a lot of things. It just opens up the playbook for the Heat. And yeah, his impact was definitely felt on the defensive side more than the offensive side. Anytime Bam has 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and and a block, I'll take that. He didn't get to the magic number of 20 points. He ended up with 12 points tonight. But still, if you get 12 points from Bam and you still win that game, you know that you got everything else from guys you weren't expecting it. Jimmy Butler, he came to play tonight. He had some bad offensive possessions. He was 12 of 28 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, including some early 3-pointers in the first half. 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 1 turnover. Played like Jimmy Butler does in the playoffs, right? He gave us everything. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the third quarter was a easy victory for the Heat, right? No, the Celtics did what they did, right? And on the strength of Derek White, they came back and really made it a lot closer than what the Heat would have liked. But again, the perseverance of defense from the entire team is clutch, and it's what really makes his team go. Because if you look at this roster, it's not a bunch of stars. It's not a bunch of guys who around the league. No, it's just guys that really love basketball, are willing to fight for it and for one another, and have that one goal, one focus in mind, which is do everything it takes to win. And they get that from Coach Spo. And in the fourth quarter, we saw the light switch turn on, right? Where he realized, like, hey, we could put these guys away for good here if we could just continue to do our thing. And that's exactly what happened. Jimmy started making shots. Strus started making shots. Bam was starting to make some bunnies. And then it just started steamroll from there, where we literally sucked the life out of the TD Garden tonight because of the way that we played. And that place should have been loud as hell throughout the entire game. But when you're down 19 points in the fourth quarter, right, and there's about 7 minutes left, and they just took out Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, yeah, your season's over, and it's hard to root for that. So those last 6 minutes of basketball, with the Celtics emptying out the bench, just shows you that they didn't have that same type of hunger, that same type of fight. They didn't want it more than the Heat. I felt like they definitely were on a high coming into this game, feeling like they were going to be able to do the impossible. But history strikes again. Teams that have gone down 0-3 in any playoffs in the NBA continue to be losers in the series, not even close. And this Heat team went out there and did their job. They finished the Celtics in the fourth quarter, forced big turnovers. Celtics got a little bit desperate, in my opinion, started putting up a lot more threes than what they really wanted to, some forced ones, some ugly ones. But a lot of that has to be credited to the defense that the Heat played. They really shut them down. They completely shut down the Celtics all night long. Jason Tatum, 14 points. Derek White, I mentioned he had the amazing game for him. He had 18. A quiet 19 points for Jaylen Brown, who was 8 from 23 from the field. And then nobody else even had close to double digits for the Celtics. Meanwhile, when you look at the Heat, you got 28 from Jimmy, 26 from Caleb, another 12 from Bam, 10 from Vincent, another 10 from Duncan. Just shows you team effort is the way to win in the playoffs, especially when it's playoff type caliber basketball and it's win or go home. They won, and now they get to go to the finals yet again. Another finals appearance. I believe that's 7 for this franchise now. This team, man, who would have thought that this team would go from being an 8th seed all the way up to NBA Finals participant? I didn't see it, right, as an 8th seed, but I'm glad that the Heat in themselves saw it, and they kept the belief. And a lot of that has to be credited to Spo, man. We talk about Spo on the program a lot, and I just know that he doesn't get the respect he deserves, right? This is a guy who's taken out numerous Coach of the Years, right? Numerous teams that have won with pedigree and all types of stuff. But Spo has just been consistent. He's been the constant here throughout this entire Heat program. You know, even throughout the days of Pat Riley, like Spo has been here, so he knows what this team is about, what this city is about, what we stand for, and what the Heat stand for, and how we can get to the best of our ability. And for him to take a team like this, right, that has no clear-cut superstar, right, that has a guy in Bam that people don't consider a top 10, top 15, top 20 player, and then just a bunch of third role scenario guys, right? Your Duncans, your Struces, your Gabe Vincent, and even a broken down Lowry, right? But the Heat find a way to make it work, and all of that goes to Spo, man. Spo is the guy who really puts these guys in a position where they can exceed any goal that's in front of them and do it well. You know, you're talking about a 20-point victory on the road in Boston for a Game 7. There's not a lot of coaches who can handle that pressure. Thankfully, we have one of the coaches in the NBA or in the world that can handle that type of pressure. The Heat win Game 7, 103-84. What a big victory for the franchise. What a big victory for this team. I really think that they're feeding off that momentum and belief. And now we get to see where it carries us for another amazing series in the finals, man. You know, your boy Sports with Soso from Sports with Soso is going to be bringing you that with my main man Joel on the podcast every week. And we're going to keep doing these post-game recaps after the finals game, because that's right, the Heat are going to the finals. Shout out to Jimmy Butler for being named the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. It was cool to see Zoe hand off that trophy to Bam. Let's see what else this Heat team has in store for us. But right now, we got to enjoy the victory. Enjoy the fact that we went through this tough season and made it to our goal anyways, which is being in the final. And now we got to go out there and win a championship for Jimmy Butler. He said that he'll never feel like he accomplished anything in the NBA without a championship ring. And I think this is the season to help him get it. We got the team. We got the leader. We definitely got the coach. We have all the momentum on our side. We're definitely going to be the hungrier team. And we got the whole 305 standing behind this team. Kind of like my shirt, representing Hialeah, 305. Shout out to Empire Boutique for supporting this show and supporting the recap. Make sure you guys are following them on Instagram, Empire Boutique. That's where you can get your drip to stay fresh like the Heat post-game recap show. And it's your boy Soso telling you to tell a Heat fan, to tell another Heat fan, to tell another Heat fan that we're going to the finals. And your boy Soso is going to be here to bring you every single game of that finals in the post-game recap. Until next time, y'all. Peace. Let's go Heat, baby.